All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I came across this article that I thought would start a very interesting conversation, not only in the comments, but just in general. And that conversation has to do with games and how long they are. So obviously, you guys are aware modern day gaming has been flooded with games that require a massive amount of time and investment. We are not only having single player games that take well over 30 hours to complete, but we also have live service games that require your time every single day in order to try to remain not only competitive, but also just to keep up with your peers and whatnot. These live service games require a lot of time. And then obviously, age old but true, you have MMORPGs that also require a lot of time. So these games are all competing for your time and for your attention for a multitude of different reasons. Live service games are trying to do it to get your money, and single player games are trying to do it in order to, impress their investors with how much time these games have been played. But ultimately, there is a lot of games out there that take a long time to play, and the Starfield lead quest designer has made the claim that a large portion of gamers are fatigued and over this aspect of gaming.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Now, me personally, ladies and gentlemen, when I was younger, I used to love longer games. I would always look for the games like your typical freaking Skyrims, you know what I mean? Like games like that that would absolutely give you an experience that was a long, long time, plenty of things to explore, plenty of things to do. But the fact of the matter is, there is so many games that are available now that if you start buying up these games, your backlog is going to be insane. I know my backlog is insane, and I'm sure a lot of you watching this right now has an insane backlog right now that they haven't even gone through. So to have another 30-hour game plus game get added to your Steam account or added to your account in general can get pretty daunting. And then eventually it gets to the point where you have so many of these games that are going to take so much time that some people just avoid them altogether because they quite frankly don't have the time to play it. Now, I'm all for all these kinds of games, okay? Again, because I may not have the time now to play them, but it doesn't mean I don't like these style of games. I do enjoy a single player longer experience that I think will give gamers what they want in terms of cinematic storytelling, gameplay, and whatnot. But to see a lead quest designer come out and openly say, especially for a game like Starfield, by the way, to come out and say something like this, I found it to be very interesting. So let's get into this article, guys, from Phantom Post. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I will greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So it says Starfield lead quest designer Will Shen, who left Bethesda back in 2023, recently claimed that a large portion of gamers are fatigued with 30-hour long games. I'm going to put it to you like this before we read the rest of the article. I think the best analogy I can give you is something from my own personal experience. So I enjoy manga. Obviously, I think you guys know that by now. And if you don't, go check out my manga channel where I show off my collection as we add, more books every day. But for me, I very much enjoy manga. But sometimes I don't want to read a manga that has 80 to 100 volumes in one series. You know what I'm saying? Every once in a while, I'll do that if I want to dive deep into one singular story for a long time, because it's going to take me a while to complete. I can only read about a book a day if I'm lucky, because that's all I got time for. But every once in a while, I do like to fill my time with manga that perhaps has 5 to 10 volumes in a series, something shorter, something that I could finish a lot sooner, and then I could get to another series quicker. You know what I mean? So there is room for both in gaming as well. You got your shorter games, which are, 8 to, let's say, 15 hours. And then you got your medium games, 15 to 30. And then you got your 30 plus, which are your longer games to complete. Every single one of these games have value to a certain kind of gamer. And I do think that we are in a world right now between the live service game, MMOs, and long single player games. We are in a world where indie games and AA games that offer that, 8 to 15 hour experience, they are going to thrive dramatically in this current environment that we're in right now, where gamers are probably starved for a little bit of more shorter but better experiences. Nobody wants a short bad game, but if you give us a short amazing game, they're just going to ask for more. And that's going to be a really good place for you to be in. But anyway, let's see. So we got an interview on the Kiwi Talks YouTube channel. Shen stated, now we're reaching a point where people are fatigued. On a large section or a growing section of the audience is becoming fatigued at invested 30 to 100 plus hours into a game because they already have that. He explained they already have the games that will continuously come back, and adding another one to that list is a tall order. it's always a tall order. So we're seeing this resurgence of short games. Shen then pointed to mouthwashing, which, by the way, I've been wanting to try mouthwashing, but again, I have no time. How sad is that? Even though it's like a 3-hour game. But anyway, he says, I just played mouthwashing, and it's only like 3 hours long at most. It's a very short experience, but part of the benefit is that the community engagement around the story of mouthwashing is only possible because everyone who is a fan has actually played through it all the way to the end. And that's important for engagement with the story and the product. Now, he actually makes a very good point, and it's something that I didn't even think about when I was talking about the length of the game initially, which is the shorter the game, the more likely that someone is going to be able to complete it, right? So if it's more likely that someone's able to complete it, that means that more people will experience the game, experience the story, and whatnot. It doesn't mean the game has to be easy. Don't get it twisted, gaming urinalists out there. But it just means that more people will have a likely higher chance to complete the game. So a game like mouthwashing, pretty much most people who buy the game are going to complete the game because it's only 3 hours long and it's not very difficult to do. So that allows for a stronger community. That allows for more engagement in terms of discussing the game, the story, and whatnot. And that definitely brings a stronger sense of community overall when it comes to a particular product. Whereas you have other games that are so long that when you look at their Steam achievements, you don't think you don't think you're someone special for finishing the game. But then you realize when you look at the Steam achievements, only 10% of the people have gotten the final chapter achievement or whatever. So you end up being in this situation where you're like, wow, most people haven't even completed the game, and it's been months that the game's been out. It's not exactly very shocking. So anyway, he says mouthwashing is a huge hit because it's short. He said there are other factors into that, the execution, nice iconic key art, all that kind of stuff. But that game doesn't succeed nearly as well if it was longer and had a bunch of side quests and miscellaneous content. The shortness is the point, and that level of engagement was so refreshing to see from a developer who's done a lot of big games. It's like, oh, you can have a fan community conversation around a game that's much shorter because that shortness allows everyone to engage fully with the entirety of the product. Most games that are 10 plus hours long, most people don't finish it, and I would say 75% of your players only played through the first 5 to 10 hours. So that's huge fragmenting of your overall fan community base between the people that will play it through to the end and then play it over and over and over again, and the vast majority of your audience who will play it for the first 5 hours and then put it down and say that was pretty good, and then they move on to whatever's next, he added. On top of claiming players already have the games they already go back to, Shen also noted the reason he believes his fatigue has set in due to the success of games like Skyrim and Fallout. I mean, if you play Skyrim and Fallout, you better be ready to spend an ungodly amount of hours in those games. And I think they have enough, notoriety for people to know that before they purchase the game. I'm sure there's people who maybe never played a Fallout or Skyrim, Elder Scrolls game before, and they pick up these games for the first time, and they're like, wow, these games are long. You know what I mean? And they'll make a decision whether or not it's for them or not. And at that point, they might be that 5 to 10 hour person that says, you know what, I got enough out the game, I'm good. And there might be the other person who says, wow, I just want to keep playing this. And before you know it, you got 200 hours in the game. So it all depends. But I think this is a good conversation to have because, again, we are at a point in the gaming industry where we are oversaturated with longer games. And unfortunately, we are more so oversaturated with live service games than really good single-player games. I think we could definitely always have room for better single-player games, but the live service games that are trying to sell themselves as single-player games and then try to hook you with the live service aspect, those are the games that are trying to take up all the time from players, which is why so many of them flop, because at the end of the day, these players are only few and far between, and then the ones that do partake in those kind of games, they already have their live service games that they're dedicated to. So the chances of them giving you the amount of hours and time necessary to make your game successful is probably very small overall. So again, I want to try mouthwashing. Eventually, I'll get to that point, but I think it's a good conversation to have in the comments. You can let me know what you think down below. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.